So it's been ages since I've done a fragrance video. Fragrance is another one of my passions, and I'm a collector. And I always say the same thing. I'm a collector, but not of museum quality. For me, the fragrances have to connect to something here or here. So they either have to be nostalgic, which would be like fragrances. I I specifically began my collection with fragrances that reminded me of people that were dear to me who are no longer living. Then it evolved into certain eras that I'm attracted to in terms of that resonate with me. Um, Most of the bulk of my collection, I think, are fragrances that were very popular in the 1970s, and I'm talking everything from high-end like Guerlain to which don't get excited. I think I own three Guerlain fragrances. Two are modern and one is vintage. Um, just thought I'd throw that out there. But what I'm saying is that I also tend to be very classic in terms of my taste in fragrance. For instance, I do have a penchant for vintage fragrance, um, old-fashioned smelling, smelling perfume. So for me, the worst thing that ever happened was the 90s with the aquatic fragrances, and followed by the gourmand fragrances, where everything, all perfume smelled like food, specifically baked goods. And at the risk of being a little bit of a hypocrite, because I do love vanilla fragrances, but everybody walking around smelling like cake or cotton candy or whatever, for me was extremely fatiguing to me. It's just not my thing. Even though um, I own a bottle of the iconic Gourmand, which is Angel by Thierry Mugler, or now just known as Mugler, .com. Anyway, scusi. I do tend to more what people who are frag heads would refer to as old lady perfume. For me, I find that to be a stupid misnomer, because I've been into old lady perfume since I was a child. So, whatever. Anyway, what I have before me here are fragrances that, and I really wasn't, what's the word, organized. I just wanted to talk about fragrance today because I hadn't in a long time, and I picked fragrances from my collection that instantly scream spring. Autumn is my favorite. Is my favorite of all four seasons. However, I'm a Four Seasons kind of girl. I love every time we start a new season. I love living where there's four seasons, and I probably would never be happy living somewhere that only had one season or two seasons. So you get the gist. Also, my favorite flower of all time is lilac. And of course, I would pick a flower that one is blooms once a year. Two is fleeting, because it blooms, it's around for 2 weeks, and then it's gone for another year. It's also a fragrance that is difficult to replicate in perfume. So I'll start with lilac. My favorite lilac fragrance was by Yves Rocher. Yves Rocher is a brand from France, very much like Avon is to America and Canada, to North America, right? So Yves Rocher is a brand from France that started in the 60s, and basically it was sold direct to the public by mail order. Nowadays, it's still sold direct to the public by mail order, mainly in the United States. It's entirely mail order. Canada, where I live, we don't have any Yves Rocher stores, but I know that when I lived in Montreal, there was an Yves Rocher. You could go to an actual Yves Rocher store in the mall and test things out and whatever and buy them there. My favorite fragrance from Yves Rocher is no longer being produced. It's been discontinued a very long time, and all I have left is the little cream perfume, and it's their Pur Désir de Lilac, which means basically the pure desire of lilac. So I have some of the solid here that I don't normally use. I do keep it as a reference for the smell of lilacs. Is it perfect? No. I've still to find a fragrance that is entirely true to real blooming lilac. But it scratches that itch. It's pretty close. Another one that comes close, but not as close as this, because this one does have a bit of that creaminess that real lilacs have, is by Pacifica, and it's French Lilac by Pacifica. And this one smells like clean laundry, like lilac laundry fabric softener. Oh my gosh, English. But I wouldn't say it's not true to lilac. The Yves Rocher one is more true to lilac than this one is. If you're out there, you're a frag head, you're watching this, hey, good to see you. You know of a realistic smelling lilac fragrance, please drop it in the comments below. I would love to go have a sniff. My next fragrance that for me totally invokes spring is one of my few favorites from Bath and Body Works. This one is retired, but like everything else with Bath and Body Works, it comes back cyclically. And this is Cherry Blossom, not Japanese Cherry Blossom, which I find to be a little too scratchy with the musk, which is odd because I love musk, but anyway, that one's too scratchy. This one is wonderful. The best way I could describe it is it has like a clean shampoo kind of fragrance. This one actually does invoke, even though it says Cherry Blossom, and it's like a fruity floral, which for me already is another one of those categories that is a no for me. No. Aquatics, fruity florals, gourmand for the most part. This is there's something. It has a clean kind of white T-shirt finish to it, and these things last a dog's age. Like there is 8 ounces of body mist in here. You know what I mean? It's like I've had this for years. This is like an older packaging. I think I even have another one that I haven't even opened yet in my cupboard. But this is nice. And this one, when I spray it, smells more of lilac than French Lilac by Pacifica does. It's just, but it's more like the mood of lilac. You know what I mean? Like it's not, no, like someone wouldn't smell this and go, oh, lilac, but I smell it and I think of lilacs. Love it. Another fragrance that I find invokes spring is a flanker to Yves Saint Laurent's Paris. And I have Paris, the original, and this is a flanker. So every spring, I think in the 2000s. In the 2000s, every spring, Yves Saint Laurent would release a spring flanker of their Paris fragrance, which I think is the last good fragrance that's produced by that house. But anyway, this is basically roses and musk. And second, I love lilacs, but my favorite floral fragrance, when it comes to fragrance, my favorite floral note is roses. And I love the whole gamut of roses, from May roses to a Bulgarian rose, a jammy rose. To me, they're all different. And I love them all for different reasons. I specifically love the combination of rose and musk. And this is one of my favorite for spring. It's very airy. it's got that rosiness to it. Has a bit of violet because, of course, it is a flanker of Yves Saint Laurent Paris, and Yves Saint Laurent Paris is basically a rose violet fragrance. My next one is actually, I wore this on our wedding day, and we got married in February, specifically February 29th, in 2000. We celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary, and it's an odd selection. Those of you watching that are into fragrance may find that this was a very odd selection for my wedding day, but it is one of my top favorites, and maybe top 5, and it's number 19 by Chanel. This one specifically is the Eau de Cologne, and it's discontinued. It's vintage. It's discontinued. You could still get the Eau de Toilette of number 19. Chanel still produces it. I have that as well, but this one is greener. It's drier, and it smells like roses and vetiver. Oh my God, love it, love it. The next one that invokes spring, because see, roses and musk is my thing. That's totally my jam. But I find that different combinations work better for different seasons, which is why I didn't bring out all my rose musk fragrances, just the ones that to me invoke spring. The next one is Flora Botanica by Balenciaga. And this too, it's very herbal, smells of roses, and again, vetiver. It's got a bit of a tangy scent to it too, like almost a rhubarb kind of smell. Very spring, very airy. It doesn't, you could wear this like, you could wear this in close proximity of people. You could wear this. All of these, especially these spring scents, are all very people friendly. They don't smell like perfumey because, well, these are mainly floral, like rose kind of things. With musk, it goes, it's one of those, you could get away with wearing it where it's supposed to be scent free is what I'm trying to say. Shh, don't tell anybody I told you this. Anyway, the next two are vintage, but still, one is still widely available. I see it everywhere, and it's White Shoulders. This is White Shoulders. It was originally produced by Evian, is the brand name, and I do have a vintage bottle literally by Evian. This one I think is Elizabeth Arden, because for a while Elizabeth Arden was distributing White Shoulders. This is a white floral. It's not for everybody. It's for me, it just smells like the 70s because my older cousins used to wear this, and I just love it. I don't wear it all the time, but it is really nice, and again, it's very spring-like and very floral. It's floral without being suffocatingly floral, and it's white, and it's white flowers. The next one, oh my gosh. See, the next one, I wish I had a vintage bottle of it. Had I known, I wouldn't have used up my entire vintage, and and it's this one. It's Windsong. This used to be by Prince Machiavelli. Oh, it is. Well, this box still says Prince Machiavelli. I love this made-up name. And it actually has the ad copy written on the back, like from the TV commercials. In the 1970s, when I was a kid, there used to be these TV commercials for Windsong. I can't seem to forget you. Your Windsong stays on my mind. Windsong is a fragrance, classic, elegant, feminine, floral. It's light and fresh, but very long-lasting. Now, no, this is not long-lasting. If you can find it, though, it's affordable. And it's, again, it's a very, if you're familiar with L'Air du Temps by Nina Ricci, it's very similar. A lot of people say it's a dupe for L'Air du Temps. I find them to be similar, but not the same. L'Air du Temps has a lot of clove in it, or a lot of carnation. There's this one has a little bit of a different character. This one leans a little more how can I put it? This one dries down to, like, it starts out with that L'air du Temps kind of like white floral, and then it dries down to a bit of a musk, like, not a white musk, because white musk for me doesn't work for me at all. It's a light musk. Um, so I smell the similarity to L'air du Temps, but I prefer Windsong to L'air du Temps. And yeah, I just wished I wished I hadn't used up my vintage, because it would have been nice to compare the two. But this one's close enough. I'm not going to complain. I rather have a more modern Windsong than none at all. So that's another one that I love for spring. And oh my god, this box. I also have the dusting powder, like the body powder, that I haven't opened yet. And last but not least, in the fragrance category, because I did sneak in another category because I wanted to share it as well. Last but not least in the fragrance category is a modern fragrance. Just like Flora Botanica is a modern fragrance, and it's Narciso. And it's Narciso Eau de Toilette by Narciso Rodriguez. And I have the little roller ball of the white cube, and that one leans more gardenia, and I don't know, there's something a little off-putting about that one on my body chemistry. This one is a straight rose musk with some vetiver in it. Intoxicating, addicting. I love it. And yeah, I love it. I love this one a lot. And nice bottle too. I love it a lot. If I ever used it up, which it's probably not likely, but if I ever did, I would replace this one. This one to me is a modern construction of vintage fragrances I love that are rose musk. And one that it reminds me of, and I actually have it, I have a little tiny one, is La Perla. And La Perla is a rose musk. And this is like a modern iteration of that fragrance. And yeah, so that's why I love it. So those are my fragrances that, for me, invoke spring. And my last thing I wanted to share is one of my favorite nail polish shades, and for the longest time, I tend to like things. I tend to like specific things. I tend to like things that I don't follow trends. I don't follow, you know what I mean? It's like I have my own particular taste. And sometimes I go for years and years and years not being able to replace something that I like because it's not a trend. It's not in fashion. And this is my favorite. This is one of my favorite. Oh my gosh! And it's like, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but one of my favorite nail polish shades is a pale. It's like a baby pink pearl. Not shimmer, not glimmer, not glitter, not flaky. No, a basic baby pink pearl, and it's my favorite nail polish color. Because it was my mom's favorite nail polish color. My mom wore this shade, and it was probably the first nail polish shade I ever wore, and I just love it. I think it's delicate. It suits my coloring. Like it suits my skin tone. It's delicate, but at the same time, it looks clean and elegant. Yeah. So this is yeah. So I'm always on the lookout for a brand that, whenever I see a nail polish display, right away I'm drawn to it, and I'm looking for a pink pearl shade that, it's very particular, the shade too. It has to be cool toned, not warm toned. It's got to be, if I can find neutral, it's even better, because then it's the exact shade that my mom wore. It's like, oh my God, people. But anyway. Keeps my mind occupied with other things. It keeps me, It's a good distraction to have. So that's it. Oh, and this one, if you're wondering, this is Miss Lynn nail polish. It's number 115, and it's called Sweetheart. And I'm trying to see it, like if I pull it back a little bit, you can see the shade better than if I bring it forward. Yeah. All right. That's it for me. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I just wanted to talk about fragrance today, and why don't you please share in the comments below. Um, do you have a springtime fragrance you enjoy? Do you like to switch up your, like, your nail polish for spring? Um, is there makeup you like to switch up? I've been wanting maybe to get some lip gloss for spring, like, something a little with a little pink thing going on. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'm wishing you all a beautiful day.